We're live on 3FM 92.7, also live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, DSTV channel 279, all across the world on 3news.com, and also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. I acknowledge the messages that a number of you have sent. Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo also sends a message in making reference to Socrates' prediction. Very interesting. Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo, good morning. Thank you for the message. This one here from Isahaku Tamale says that I'm happy lawyer Xavier Kuje has mentioned that the OSP may be playing games with this press conference, because I also think that he's intentionally doing this as a way of getting the people under his investigations to also be a diversionary tactic, you say. This one here from Papa Bisu from Accra. Thank you very much for your message. You says that even though the OSP needs all the support, is that not a disgrace on the government that it is coming at a point where almost all these cases that he's investigating, he is facing all these roadblocks, you say? Musa from Musa Abatwa in Asawasi, thank you very much for the message as well. You talk about, let's be fair to the fact, nobody who's prepared to fight corruption will have free hands to do so. There's no single institution which is not involved in one corruption or the other, you say. Thank you very much, and so many of them. Now, let's go on to our next issue for the morning. Now, this week, Onua FM and Onua TV sought an injunction at the Accra High Court over an intention by the National Media Commission as communicated in a statement. Just for the uninitiated, let's give a brief background to this. Take a look. First of all, here is how the case played out. On Tuesday, November 14, 2023, Media General received a letter from the National Media Commission which was wrongly directed. The letter complained of a broadcast simultaneously carried by Onua FM and Onua TV. Now, in the same letter, the NMC imposed sanctions on the two stations without asking for their side of the story. In response to the letter, the company drew the attention of the Executive Secretary of the NMC, George Sapon, to the error, and also stated that the station should be given an opportunity to be heard, as is required by the procedures of the National Media Commission's own Complaint Settlement Committee. But George Sapon refused to give has refused to give the stations the opportunity to be heard, and also has also not named any complainant in the case. Meanwhile, he has threatened to have the frequency authorizations of the two stations suspended, among other illegal actions. Media General finds the actions and posture of the Executive Secretary arbitrary, unconstitutional, and against the principles of natural justice, and therefore filed the case in court to stop the Commission from further harassing the two stations. In fact, the company states in the suit that the Media General and then that's the Media Commission, by its actions, has constituted itself into a complainant, a prosecutor, and a judge in a complaint, and from its actions cannot be trusted to be a fair and impartial arbiter in any case against the two stations, Onua FM and Onua TV. The NMC Executive Secretary, without any complaints or invitation to Onua TV and Onua FM, decided to be the complainant and the prosecutor and the judge and pass the judgment. We will go into the constitutional provisions in Article 167 of the 1992 Constitution that specifically details the work of the NMC and the functions of the National Media Commission. It states, 1, to promote and ensure the freedom and independence of the media for mass communication or information, and then B, and this is where the emphasis is, to take all appropriate measures to ensure the establishment and maintenance of the highest journalistic standards in the mass media, including the investigation, mediation, and settlement of complaints made against or by the press or the mass media, to insulate the state-owned media from government or governmental influence, a control over the professional functions of a person engaged in the production of newspapers or other means of mass communication, and to perform such other functions as may be prescribed by law. Our emphasis is on the B of Article 167. Now, like Kpebu, knowing the details of this case and all the statements that have been issued by the NMC on this matter, does the opportunity to be given a hearing, is it a red herring or it is an important aspect of the NMC's whole process of investigating even before passing a judgment on the conduct of a particular media house?
That's what I can say. It is the beginning and the end of the investigations. If you haven't heard the other side, then you haven't even done anything at all. It is front and center of every investigation. You have to hear the other side. So, and look, to further, even apart from Article 167, that talks about investigating, there is also the LI 1587. So that's the law that's the settlement procedure. Let's look at it. LI 1587. That's what the National Media Commission is to use. So it's called National Media Commission, into brackets, Complaint Settlement Procedure, Regulations, 1994, LI 1587. And that's what the Media General letter was referring to when it said the Complaint Settlement Procedure. It's actually a law. So apart from the Constitution saying investigate, so this is the point we are making. And Article 167, the Constitution says that the National Media Commission should investigate. And we are saying that the word investigate would most of the time involve you talking to the other side, because actually there are, you see, the Constitution can't write everything. The courts have interpreted these provisions different, and not specifically 167. I'm talking about provisions that look like it. So when you hear the word investigate, and when you are going to take a decision that affects the rights of another person, they call it is judicial. And that's how comes so for organizations like NMC. So they say in that particular thing, that particular respect, that function is quasi-judicial, because you are investigating and going to take a decision that affects the rights of another person. So implicit in the investigation is the right, is the duty to listen to the other side. Okay? So when you see here 167B, that I'm interested in the investigation, it says including the investigation, mediation, and settlement of complaints made against or by the press or other mass media. So implicit in investigation is listening to the other side, because when you are done, you're going to take a decision that affects somebody's rights. And so there are a long line of court decisions that say that in that case, you must listen to the other side. So to the extent that NMC has not done that, their letter is a non-starter. Non-starter. So let's go back now for the avoidance of doubt. For the avoidance of doubt, it's stated in clearly in the LI 1587. It says, let's go to, so it's all the procedures, lodging a complaint and then straight, because we don't have time, let's go to the Regulation 4. It says that where a complaint lodged with the commission is referred to the settlement committee, the executive secretary of the commission shall, within 7 days of the reference, serve on the person against whom the complaint is made a copy of the complaint, inviting the person to submit his comments or answer within 7 days from the date of the service of the copy of the complaint. That's it.
Shall.
There you have it.
So
shall.
the emphasis is on the mandatory expression of shall.
Yeah.
So it's not an option.
Yeah.
It is something that has to necessarily be done.
Yes.
That the forum must be created.
Excellent.
The person or stations must be heard.
Excellent. Then from there, so when in this case, Onua TV or Media General responds, then they will serve a copy on the other party. Then he will look at it and can also then respond. Then you go. So based upon it, and step by step, then there's formal investigations. So after they giving the notice, give your response and the rest. If the complainant doesn't give up and he says he wants the matter to go on, formal investigation. So he says, Regulation 6, for the purpose of investigating a complaint under sub-regulation 5.2 of these regulations, the settlement committee shall serve the person against whom the complaint is made a notice specifying as far as practicable, A, the particulars and details of the allegations that form the subject matter of the investigation, and B, the date, time, place at which the investigation is to be held, blah, blah, blah. You see it? Yes, because it says that before they decide decide it, they will look at it. Is this a matter if proved? It's very serious. So if you haven't gone through your own LI 1587, there are other things. And most especially, let's come to this. Especially in respect of the letter that Media Commission wrote to
the Ghana Independent Broadcast Association?
No, the Advertisers Association.
How
do you write such a letter? I mean, how? Because look at it. It says that these matters, when a complaint is being made against somebody, it is what? It must be held confidentially. Investigations to be held in private. An investigation into a complaint under these regulations shall be held in private unless it is in the interest of justice or for any sufficient cause. The settlement committee directs the hearing to be held in public. Blah, blah, blah. So the point I'm saying is that these things are supposed to be private. How on earth do you write to advertisers saying that they are advertising at their own risk? Is that due process when the whole thing is supposed to be kept confidential? And it's for this is a good reason, because the framers of the law know the power of media. It's not for a joke that it is called the fourth estate of the realm, right? And even we've said in the past, I like this favorite quote by former U.S. president. I think Thomas Jefferson was the fourth president or so. So as far back as the 1820s, Jefferson saw that, listen, a strong media creates a better society than an executive that is corrupt. A strong media creates a better society than an executive that is corrupt. So he says that, look, he prefers a society that has media and no government to a society that has a government but no media. Can you imagine? That's Jefferson. You can Google him. What did Jefferson say about the importance of media? You'll see it. So we don't play with it. So when you see the lawmakers saying that, hey, these investigations, hold them in private, please, it's for a good purpose. Don't run down the media. After all, Article 167 says that, what? Promote and ensure the freedom and independence of the media. Go through due process. You've not gone through due process. So how do you write to the National Communication Authority? On what basis? Have you gone through, have you complied with the LI? On what basis? Can the NMC come again? Look, Mr. Kanse, I have quoted you the laws. It gives me, so as soon as this happened, my mind just went straight to clearing agent. President Akufo-Addo is a clearing agent, and he put Ayebuafo there. Ayebuafo, the chairman of the NMC. He's the president's nominee on the NMC. And this is not the first time. You remember the Manasseh Azuri documentary, Militia in the City? The one, the presidency, they were using party foot soldiers to provide security at formal events. And Manasseh did an investigation on it. The presidency wasn't happy. Then they reported to the National Media Commission. When they went into it, when you Google, you see Samson Ladia of Joy FM write about it. You see that the NMC boggled it. They bungled the investigations. The committee members weren't even aware of the decision the NMC took. Committee members meet, and then a decision is taken and put somewhere. So, yeah, Joy FM made those allegations. Asked if NMC was able to rebut those. They said that the decision NMC was reaching was not according to law, because committee members meet, and then somebody else is controlling the decision from elsewhere, a person who is not on the committee. So it gives me the impression that Aibuafu too is become like a clearing agent to his boss, President Akufo-Addo. Akufo-Addo is clearing agent. Aibuafu is also clearing agent here. Because this is the second one. I don't say it lightly. We need to be able to do these things to move our institutions forward. So, Mr. Aibuafu, we will not take this. Please, just go back. NMC must also act within the law. NMC is not above the law. Why are you in a hurry? Then when you read the letter, it's referring to Rwanda and Kenya. Are we Rwanda and Kenya? Are we Rwanda? Do we look like Rwanda and Kenya? What sort of hasty conclusions are we Rwanda and Kenya? Are we Rwanda and Kenya? When Kennedy Japan mentioned in 2012, that time, that Everest should be killed, blah, blah, blah. He was arrested, all those things. They did cause such a thing. We like due process. Don't just lightly compare us to Rwanda and Kenya. We don't like that type of comparison.
So there's a statement that was just come through yesterday.
Sorry?
There's a statement from the National Media Commission yesterday. And I think in preparing for this conversation, I gave copies of that statement out. And I think it's a public statement from the NMC as well. Responding to the Ghana Independent Broadcasters Association, GIBA. And this statement was also signed by the Executive Secretary of the NMC. There's a portion of that statement, which we're going to put on the screen shortly. He says, opportunity for fair hearing. And I'm coming back because of the point you made in LI 1587. That ties into Article 167B about the investigation and mediation function of the National Media Commission. And if what you read in LI 1587 is anything to go by, that the emphasis on the shall, these in the individuals or media houses shall be giving some sort of a forum or a hearing. The NMC in the statement says, opportunity for fair hearing, quote, comes in when the criminal ignores the warning and puts himself in harm's way with the law. It is at that point that the wrongdoer, faced with the law, is given opportunity for fair hearing. And so we have initiated a process. We assure you that the errant stations may have their opportunity for fair hearing. They put that in inverted commas. At the right time, in the appropriate forum. So when is it the right time? Is it at the beginning of all this process, or it is at the behest of the NMC?
Okay, so that's where they are getting it wrong. Listen, this thing, look at the law. What you look at is that the NMC must live within its own law. This is a serious matter. You're saying somebody should retract and apologize. He says it's not. So once he says it's not, you can't then say that you finished. And so you are, meting out sanctions. No. Look at so you see there's a bit of it that under the law, the way the law is couched, sometimes I see the point they are trying to make that, okay, if we receive a case, we can see if, just like Article 167 talks about mediation and the rest, we'll see if we can use mediation. But if you are attempting to mediate and the person says, I won't be mediated, they are not interested in mediate, use the formal process. You see it? Use the formal process because you see what he's trying to see. I can see the spirit of what he's trying to see here. It says this, that without prejudice, that's Regulation 9. It says, without prejudice to the other provisions of these regulations, the Commission may, where it considers it necessary for the discharge of its functions under the Act, refer to the Settlement Committee for formal investigations, any publication, act, or omission of any journalist, blah, blah, blah. You see it? Yes. So I see this. So they are looking at it and think that it's not every time that you should just go straight. Yes, you can. But where the issues are such that the person you are trying to mediate says, I won't be mediated. Now, mediation is by force. Is it by force? And please, all these things we are doing, we are not going to the substance. Yes, my attention has been drawn to some of the substance and the allegations and the rest. Please, I don't want to comment on that one. Let's use due process. Let's use due process. Because now you are saying, look at the substance. You see, if we look at the substance and put away the law, that's what we did. We sat down as a society and watched our military take helicopters, go into Ashaman, and brutalize our citizens, cause our citizens to drink gutter water and sewage. all that, and we are quiet as a society. So if you begin to do this, that because they've spoken about the military hierarchy, so because of that you want to railroad.
So you're not going to the substance
yes.
of the case.
So please,
let's
let this thing stop. The military are also part of Ghana. They must also live under the law. We have not finished counting the damage they caused to our democracy by going to brutalize the people of Ashama. And now you want to do this one you want to set aside the law to please the military.
So since you say we are not getting into the merits of the case and the details of it,
yes,
I just want to.
Yes, so we are talking about due process. So please,
on the due process.
This is not the only law, okay, that deals with this. When you go to the National Labour Commission, they also have their procedures like that. When you make a complaint there, first they try to mediate. If the mediation doesn't work, then they go on to what? Arbitration. In actual fact, they even start with conciliation, where they tell the parties, so 3 stages. They try to bring the parties together. They themselves should talk and see if they can resolve. So conciliation. If conciliation fails, then the Labour Commission will try to do mediation. If mediation fails, then they go to arbitration, where you use the law strictly as stipulated.
So that's why I wanted to understand whether the determination of the right time for opportunity for fair hearing was at the behest of the NMC, and at what point. So you explained that quite clearly, that it's the first step of the long process. If that somebody is being accused or a concern is being brought about or against a particular media house or an individual, the first of the entire process is the forum to be heard. Professor Kpebu is a lecturer. It's at the University of Ghana Business School, senior lecturer. He is a political marketing strategist, but most importantly for this conversation, one key analyst in the media space as well. Professor Kpebu is joining us on Zoom, but we cannot show his video because of where he is. Professor Kpebu, if you can hear me, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Alfred, thank you. I can hear you. And let me say hi to Martin.
Right from the beginning of all of these issues, you have followed this every step of the way. What are the specific concerns you have about how things have played out in this particular case of the NMC and the Onua TV and Onua FM?
Alfred, I think that Martin has actually addressed the issue extensively, especially even from the legal perspectives. I mean, having actually thought, political communication, PR, for almost 10 years, I haven't actually seen processes like this before. It's almost like an individual as opposed to an organization taking decisions. And when you look at the statements that are actually coming from the quarters, i.e. NMC, it baffles me that we have institutions behaving like this. I mean, within the political system, I mean, our democratic systems, one of the things that democracy really stands up with is the media freedom. The idea that we should, at all times promote, diversity within the media space. We should promote, freedom of speech, etc. Of course, not to the detriment of what we call the public good, but, in a manner that promotes, everybody's, what we call rights within the framework of the democracy that we actually cherish. And this particular procedure completely, the process going on completely flouts that particular, responsibilities. And so I'm really not sure what the intentions and the purposes of the NMC are, really. Because if we're saying that state institutions, especially, NMC, must promote, media freedom, this is not the way you do it. I mean, if there have been infractions, and as Martin rightly put it, there are, structures set out to actually do this. But you don't go about, writing letters to institutions that you think, would make, the media house stronger, and then trying to win them off a critical revenue. And you still say that you haven't even begun, a disciplinary procedure or, a sanctioning procedure. So if you haven't begun a sanctioning procedures, why then do you go about writing to, advertising, association? It baffles me, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. And that point that you made is captured in the latest statement from the National Media Commission, which we're going to put on the screen shortly. But you agree with that position that the forum for hearing is just basic and fundamental to the natural law of justice, is it not?
Absolutely. I mean, I wonder, who would actually exact a certain, sanction without hearing parties, position. And this they have flouted. Obviously, if you had informed a certain, stakeholder, that ensures the going concern of the media house or ensures this, the sustainability of the media house, you have already exacted sanction. So I don't even understand the point that they make that they haven't actually issued a sanction. Part of a sanction is that you are really preventing or you are curtailing the freedom of someone. You are curtailing their natural order. Now, you had written to Advertising Association of Ghana not to do business with the what you call the media house, which is the crucial part of their sustainability. You have already started exacting sanctions. So for you to say that you haven't actually exacted sanctions until you give them fair hearing, which you haven't even constituted, then I'm not sure what their positions are. It's very, very contradictory what they're actually saying. It doesn't make sense.
So that notice to the Advertising Association of Ghana constitutes a sanction, you'll say. And
Of
so
course,
the details of it that they haven't even started sanctioning yet is inconsistent with that particular directive to the Association of
it's very
the Advertising
contradictory.
Association.
And I'm sure Martin is in a better position to explain from a legal perspective what you mean by curtailing somebody's freedom. If the natural, order or the natural, what do you call, activities of the media house is including, advertising revenue that ensures their sustainability, and you are asking such a crucial stakeholder to stay off, haven't you exacted the sanctions already? So I'm not sure what they say. I mean, even by normal language, I mean, English language, if you follow what you've done and to say that you haven't actually started sanctioning, yet you are preventing or you are actually asking a crucial stakeholder not to fund, so to speak, an advertising, what do you call a media house. You have begun the processes already. So I'm not sure what they mean by we haven't started, until a fair hearing is given. And to be honest with you, the language that I find this in the letter is very, very colloquial. I'm surprised that an institution like NMC could issue a letter like this. And if the board or whatever had actually seen it, I'm surprised that they allowed this letter to go because it's nowhere near any formality. It doesn't at all. It's like an individual, maybe my NSS student, writing a letter and sending this letter to me for previewing. Then perhaps I can ask them to change it because there is nothing about this letter that shows that it's official. Because the use of some kind of what do you call it? Like the criminal, a criminal, you are alerting a criminal not to proceed their criminality. You are warning some. I mean, how do you? I couldn't believe that an official letter could be written like this. It's completely off, absolutely colloquial, and it made it. I mean, the authorities really saw this letter to come out. I haven't seen a PR like this before. For all the 10 years that I've been teaching this political communication, technical report writing, I have never seen an official letter that is so, absolutely porous like this written to the public. It is very sad.
Now, that letter that you make reference to consistently, the latest letter from the National Media Commission on this matter was released yesterday. Take a look at this. Yesterday, the holiday, that's when this statement came. That's the response to GIBA, the GIBA press statement by the NMC. So the NMC says, we write with reference to your press statement, that's GIBA's press statement issued on Thursday, November 30, 2023, regarding the Commission's intervention to grant Onua TV and Onua FM their wish to exit the broadcasting market by unprofessional practice. Our notice of suspension stands to the extent that the stations invited this upon themselves. Please note that your press statement is of no consequence to the process. We wrote to you out of courtesy. So they actually wrote to the Ghana Independent Broadcasters Association as well, not just the Advertisers Association alone or the NCA. So they said they wrote to GIBA out of courtesy. So if it is GIBA's wish that they do not grant GIBA that courtesy in future, they will respect that. It goes on. Regarding how we deal with other organizations, including the Advertising Association of Ghana, the ordinary rules of etiquette would require you not to attempt to dictate to us. Goes on. We also wish to provide you information that the claim in your press statement that the Commission acted without giving the opportunity for fair hearing to the stations rather than pronouncing sanctions upon them has no foundation. It goes on. NMC has not issued any sanctions on the two offending stations yet. And that's what Professor Kpebu, you disagree. Yeah. And in fact, the details of it as well, Lawyer Kpebu as well. What we have done is to file a notice of suspension. We did that after issuing them warnings to desist. Can we go back? Let's go back. Go back. It says, what we have done is to file a notice of suspension. We did that after issuing them warnings to desist from their professional delinquency. Neither the cease and desist orders nor the notice of suspension constitutes sanctions. It goes on and says, a cease and desist order only warns a criminal, wrongdoer, or a delinquent professional to stop their misbehavior and to withdraw from their lawlessness. It does not constitute sanctions. It is akin to asking a pickpocket to stop stealing or to stop a person poisoning the public well to stop his murderous act. It does not involve any hearing. Opportunity for fair hearing comes in when the criminal ignores the warning and puts himself in harm's way with the law. It is at that point that the wrongdoer, faced with the law, is given opportunity for fair hearing. We have initiated a process. We assure you that the errand stations may have their opportunity, And the word there says, according to the NMC statement, says, we assure you that these stations may have their opportunity for fair hearing at the right time. Not will. But you read the LI 1587, which says that it's a shall. Yes. It's mandatory.
Yes.
Read that provision again.
You can't this
for me, please.
It says, so lodging regulation 3.1 is when a person is lodged a complaint, right? Then we go to regulation 4, procedure for dealing with complaint. Okay? It says 4.1, a complaint lodged with the commission shall be referred to the settlement committee as soon as practicable after receipt by the commission. Then 2, where a complaint lodged with the commission is referred to the settlement committee, the executive secretary of the commission shall, within 7 days of the reference, serve on the person against whom the complaint is made a copy of the complaint, inviting the person to submit his comments or answer within 7 days from the date of the service of the copy of the complaint. So 7 days, that's very, very short actually, but you see, it says 7 days. So they themselves, once the complaint is being referred to the committee, then within 7 days. So you can't keep the complaint at the secretariat, okay? You can't keep it at the secretariat for that long. Once the parties, or let's say one of the parties says it's not interested in mediation. Yes. Meanwhile, my understanding even is that Onua FM and this Onua TV have written to NMC a number of times without any response. You say, so let's just take it. Well, you know, he says, she says. Bottom line is that it's clear. One thing that we all cannot dispute in this case is that the mediation didn't work because you ask the person, apologize and retract, and the person says, I won't. So it means that the mediation is not working. So go through the formal process. Go through it, but you can't. That letter to the NCA, it's taking our democracy back several steps. Yeah, it's like we make 2 steps forward, Mr. Okan say 1 sentence on it, and then 5 steps back, especially in the context of the fact that this year we fell, 2 steps again from 60th position last year, 2022, the World Press Freedom Index. This year we fell again to 62nd. Then go forward, 2018, where we did, we got the best in recent times under President Kufuor. That's when we placed 23rd. And that's when we had the world event in Ghana. President Kufuor said what? He prefers boisterous and scurrilous nonsense, okay, to the ones that we just do, yes, sir, and the monotonous media. So there is that slack that as long as we are human beings and we're doing this work, there will be mistakes. Don't forget, the politicians are tough-skinned. They are not gentlemen. If they were gentlemen,
just like
Ghana
you.
would not be like this.
Just like you. Professor Nchi, yes. We were showing some videos of the Onua Power Walk for Press Freedom, which has been on the screen a few times. Yes.
I think that we are behaving like the singing band, where they take 3 steps forward and then 2 steps back, and then they don't move forward. This is a bullying letter to gag Onua, TV and Onua FM. We have press freedom. And we know that the media is the 4th realm of the government. They are supposed to, educate, entertain, and then inform us about everything that is going on. Without the media, we are doomed. Now, we can see, if you do a simple deductive and inductive analysis, this is clearly political, very political. And it's the National Media Commission Executive Secretary who is being pushed from the presidency to write this letter so that Onua will be gagged. I mean, this is simple deductive and inductive reasoning. Why we don't want to tell the truth? You see, Ghanaians admire people who tell the truth, but they don't want to speak the truth. My mother will wake up every morning listening to Captain Smart on Onua, and I've been asking her why. She said, he tells the truth. The truth is what Ghanaians are looking for. And what did the media, if you use the word investigate and then mediate, investigation is carrying out systematic and formal inquiry to discover an allegation. So what has been systematic about what the National Media Commission have done? What has been formal about what they've done? This is just a warning, that they have not even given them the chance to respond. Look at it, somebody comes to complain. And I listened to this woman talking about Nana Yajentua. She was talking about if there's a complainant to the National Media Commission, where are the tapes? Who was he insulting? So a lot of issues have been raised. You have not given me the chance to even respond to that. And there are 2 sides of a story. Somebody complains. Somebody says that what I did, there was no insult. I spoke to the fact. In fact, the truth hurts. The truth, we should be told that it hurts. When people are being told the truth, they think that you are attacking their personality. But we should not take anything personally when it comes to issues that we are discussing, because we can only speak to the facts. And the fact is that they are doing their job. They have the press or the media freedom unless it borders on ethics. Because every media person is warned about the ethics of the media, And if they have not crossed the boundary of ethics, if they've not wronged anything, you go by the procedure. That this is the issue. You want to mediate. Mediate what? I said I did not insult anybody. I was in the media space. And I'm a dean not only of business, but communication as well, academic city. When you talk about issues like this, and important. You want people to mediate, if I have done the wrong thing, I remember one time I was interviewing a former president, I won't mention the name, when I was in the media, and then they came with questions that I should answer, these are the questions. And I said that if you have your question, then you don't need me. And they said, what kind of guy is that? I said, well, if you have your own questions, then you don't need me here, as a host. And they said, but we want you to be careful the way you ask your question. I said, my questions will be fair. And I asked fair, bold questions because I'm always thinking about the way my mother at home will understand my questions. That's how I do my things. But this issue, let's break it to the barest minimum. You are investigating an issue. If you want to investigate, somebody has made a complaint. Now you go to the person and say that the way you talk, the way you insult, bring tapes, bring videos. And the person is saying that I'm speaking to the facts. These are my facts. You go through the legal process. Unfortunately, we are using the same legal process, we
haven't even gotten to that
our
point.
Own system.
I think, Kpebu, at least based on the details as has been provided, there hasn't even been that process of a forum that you're even talking about for the hearing of whether or not there is...
So if they have not reached there, then you can't write this letter. So,
Yes.
so what I'm saying, to conclude this, is that the Onua TV and Onua FM were right in their response that this letter is wrongfully directed.
And Professor Kpebu, and I'm going to round up with you on this matter as well, especially the point that Professor Enoch Entry made about how this, especially that detail, the detail of that letter that we put out there, that if you look at the understanding of the NMC's own point of the opportunity for fair hearing, they say their definition of at the right time and in the appropriate forum is not at the beginning of the process, as the law requires, as has been detailed by lawyer Martin Kpebu. What do you expect going forward?
I mean, for me, I think that, as has been pointed out, it looks like someone somewhere is trying to pull this trigger for a purpose, not necessarily, to sort of complete a procedure, but it looks like that they want to, as some people would say, shake the system small. For me, it is about, tarnishing the brand. It is about, preventing the brand to be in good business, so that obviously it would affect the strength of the brand in terms of sustainability. And so I suspect that along the line, the process will curtail. But once it curtails, they have actually achieved their aim of weakening, that brand. I suspect that's what is happening, because, I mean, it doesn't make sense. If you look at the paragraph 8 of the letter that they sent to Giba, you said that you haven't actually started sanctions, but you have already, pronounced, criminality on the media house. You have likened the media house to a pickpocket when you haven't even started the formal processes of investigating. You haven't had a fair hearing, etc. So it shows that somewhere just want to use a certain mischievous means to draw up what they want, i.e. reduce the potency of the media house and along the line curtail the process. And if that happens, I hope the media house will take the proper and appropriate legal redress for the harm caused, because certainly this is not the right procedure. And I don't see it going forward, them completing the process. I suspect that they will curtail it along the way.
You suspect that it's going to be curtailed along the way? If not, what would you call this?
Yeah, I mean, they have started wrongly. Along the line, nothing seems to be appropriate. As Martin actually read the legal document to you. I mean, their own processes. It doesn't seem. It doesn't seem that they are working within those framework. And if that is the case, it means that somewhere there's an informality to the entire process just to achieve a certain aim, a certain end. And that's why my suspicion is that they will curtail it.
Professor Kpebu, appreciate your time. Thank you very much for joining us here on Keep On this matter. Kpebu, I'm going to round up with you on this, especially because of the position of the law, because everything that's happening, regardless of the details, as you made reference to, has to happen within the remit of the law, is it not? And you refer to two specific laws, Article 167B, and then also the LI 1587. So it is indeed the case that it is this opportunity to be heard, or opportunity for a fair hearing, is an integral part of the natural law of justice.
That's it. Yeah, natural law. So lawyers call it popularly order alteram pattern. Yes, this is a serious matter. To every law, of course, there are exceptions, but obviously this is not a case of the exception. So we'll not waste, we can't afford to explain the exception here, but it's accepted that every law has an exception. This one, you are attacking the license. That is the heartbeat of the business. Yeah, heartbeat. And you think this one, you can do such a thing. You see? Exactly. You see how Professor Kpebu put it? You're attacking the brand. Attacking the brand. This is like part of the fight for election 2024. That's what I see. Yes.
So
Part of the fight for election 2024. This guy cut him to size. Once you cut him to size, then, I mean, come on. We can't do this. This letter...
So that writing,
what kind of
that
country are we
letter to
building?
the Advertising Association of Ghana, in the remit of the law, constitutes a sanction. That's contrary to what the
Yeah,
NMC is saying.
absolutely. This is a real sanction. It's cutting oxygen from the business. This is just to ruin the business. That's
Every
to ruin
business
the...
thrives
You haven't...
on adverts.
Exactly.
And if you're telling the advertisers not to advertise with them,
Hey.
how do they pay their
Oh,
workers?
that's bad. It's terrible.
Alfred, how do they pay
this,
their
this
workers?
is terrible. This is going to affect our press, freedom index. It's going to affect it. We will perform
You see,
worse again
but
from 60
lawyer,
seconds.
why should we wait for outsiders to, freedom index and everything for them to rate us? We should rate ourselves.
Yeah, that's what we are doing now. So we are
What kind
rating
of people are
ourselves
we
that
doing? You
this
see,
is
the
terrible.
white people are not smarter than us. We have been teaching them. They are not smarter, but they go by the rules and the regulations. They are fair. They have values, but we don't.
Yeah.
If you are an institution and you want to, just be, loyal to the appointing authority, then you have a problem. That is our biggest issue. So your job is more important to you than the nation.
Yeah. Yes.
30 minutes to the top of the hour.
Yes.
And will remain your election command center. We've been showing videos of the Onua TV, Onua FM Power Walk for Press Freedom. And that's what was showing on the screen not too long ago. Yeah, there you have it. It was yesterday. And also a number of you who have been sending messages on Facebook. We're live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook on this matter.